Thank you, Madam Chair Lady, and a good morning to you, a good morning to our support staff, good morning to my colleagues, and a word of good morning and welcome to the Minister of Finance, Mrs. Marinka J. Gums, and her support staff here this morning. A good morning to all tuned in to this meeting. Madam Chair Lady, thank you for the opportunity, and I can be very brief. As you indicated in your introduction, this report goes back to 2023. And in that report, it is mentioned, amongst other things, with respect to the follow-up on the report, that the report was prepared with cooperation from several civil servants employed in the area of the report, namely taxes. Some recommendations were made in the report. The report states that the opportunity was given to the Minister of Finance to react to the report. However, that has not happened. So fast forward a bit, and we have the report, we have the recommendations, but in the meantime, we also have a project under the auspices of the TWO regarding tax reform, and the like. So I think it's important now to hear from the minister, and that is my request as the requester for this meeting and this topic, just not only where things are with respect to the recommendations made in this particular report, but also overall where tax reform, be it the system or the administration of the tax inspectorate, where these matters are concerned. And if the minister, who in several meetings here in Parliament have highlighted some of her priority areas for tax reform, and during, I believe it was the budget meeting, I asked if the minister could provide somewhat of a timeline for these different items of tax reform, especially what can be considered low-hanging fruit in the area of tax reform. We have spoken over and over again with respect to the profit tax, etc., the shift from direct to indirect taxations. I don't think there's a disagreement where these particular elements of tax reform are concerned. So for me, Madam Chair Lady, given from when this report dates, one, the fact that the General Audit Chamber continues to assess the issue of tax administration. You mentioned the focus audit that has taken place, getting experiences from taxpayers in terms of their experiences as encountered with the tax inspectorate. But for me, what is extremely important, if we can get an update with some dates for the tax reform elements that have been highlighted by the Minister of Finance as having her utmost attention and priority. So two things, Madam Chair Lady, from my perspective. If the Minister can briefly go over the recommendations, or most of them in this particular report, but more than that for me is how are we progressing with tax reform and with some of the priorities that the minister has elaborated on in previous meetings of Parliament. Thank you for the opportunity, Madam Chair Lady, and I await the minister's presentation and responses. Thank you.
Thank you, MP Westcott Williams. I now give the floor to the Minister of Finance, Minister Marinka Gums, for her opening remarks and presentation. Minister, you have the floor.